Hi guys, my name is Nate, and I'm making a game. I have never made a game before. I have no artistic bone in my body. I have no experience with Photoshop or anything along those lines. I'm just gonna go for it. I got an idea the other day thinking about there's a new trend in the old school RuneScape community where people make these accounts and they use this new trading card game version of RuneScape to progress their accounts. And it, for some reason, just sparked this idea to make a RuneScape card game, like a RuneScape trading card game that's also a RPG, something along those lines. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about adding in quests, which would coincidentally, the quests part was really what sort of sparked this main idea. You have all these quests in games, MMOs, in RPGs, and things like that. Where I thought maybe I make a game. Originally, it was going to be RuneScape, a RuneScape in the universe, in Gielinor, in the RuneScape universe. But then I just kind of thought, if I'm gonna go in depth with it, I might as well just make an original IP and sort of not have to be beholden to anything. I don't think Jagex would be weird about it if I did ever make something along those lines. I just felt like maybe start from scratch if I'm going to start something and put all this effort into it, that maybe I just make my own characters and make my own creatures and things like that. So basically the idea of the game is just it's an MMO. Well, the main idea is it's an RPG. It's a card game. So you have three decks. One is your enemy deck, one is your gear deck, and one is your event deck. So you have rounds of the game. Each person has a turn in each of those rounds. They have two actions they can do on each turn. I'm trying to sort of make it feel D&D-ish. D&D is one of the games where my creativity kind of flows the most. I've DM'd a lot and I've homebrewed a lot of stuff. So that always, whenever I get like a creative itch, that's where I always really see it shine. So this sort of is along that same lines. It's allowing me to sort of world build. But in terms of, obviously, I have to make systems. That's going to be very difficult. The aspects of game design, which is making systems that work and are balanced and things like that. So obviously, I don't want to downplay that and say that's something that's easy to do or that's something that'll just come naturally. I don't think that it will. It already has not. I've already iterated on a combat system and all the stats and stuff, and like the card templates are have changed 1,000 times already, and I've only had this idea for, I don't know, 2 weeks now, maybe a week and a half. So I'm not trying to downplay the difficulty of the task. Quite the opposite, honestly. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm here to sort of offer my experience of someone who's never done this. If there's anybody out there who has had an idea or has an idea right now and they see this video and say, "Oh, someone else is also in way over their head. Let me follow along." I don't know how to do Photoshop. I don't. I've briefly edited videos before in Photoshop or like edited some things, but no, I mean it's entry level. Nothing that any of you couldn't just open up Photoshop and drag and drop some certain images in and like overlay them with another image. I know nothing basically, and I honestly would probably end up either learning to do it or just paying somebody to do, make the templates for me and then just drag and, do the drag and drop, just put the art on that template once I get someone to make the art for me. Cause that's the thing. That's what's so tough. That's why I know it's super frowned upon to use AI and this kind of stuff, but in the early goings, it might be one of those things where just so it's a cooler looking card that you generate some sort of art just to put on the card for like play testing, so it looks kind of cool because everything's just more fun when it looks cool. I haven't really decided on that yet, but it's just an idea where like I don't know. I'm not an artist, so a lot of the beginning cards are just going to be a symbol on a card denoting that it's a enemy card or an event card or whatever else. So with the card system, the idea for me was I would like for it to be a collectible card game in the long term. I would like people to be able to buy booster packs. I would like people to be able to customize their deck. That's along the same lines of world building and that same spark you get and excitement you get for world building. I think probably more people have experienced that through like deck building in Magic the Gathering, where you have an idea for a deck. You have have these cards that you're thinking of and the combos that these cards, this could go with this could go with that. I think a lot of people have had that. And I'm sure, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or whatever, but I'm sure that that's probably a similar feeling. You get this inspiration for a deck. And I would like to incorporate that along with character creation or character progression and allow people to sort of explore what they want their gear to be like, what they want, do they want consumable stuff that affects other people, that affects their enemies or their opponents on their turn and things like that, similar to like a deck in Magic the Gathering that would be more instance and sorcery based? Or do you want to have, just a deck where you focus primarily on your gear and your events just being there to affect your progression and increase your progression? Do you want to incorporate enemy cards that are primarily gold drops focused, where then you can use that gold to go to the shop and buy things, maybe not as powerful things, but buy things quicker and start progressing quicker? Or do you want to put enemy cards in your deck that are going to drop gear that gives you a chance of pulling a good gear card from your gear deck? Obviously, all of these things are super early on. I'm not here telling you that that's going to be, that I know all of the strategy and all the metagame of my game yet. That doesn't exist. But yeah, I like to think of those possible combos, those possible strategies and different styles of decks that people could build in this pursuit for killing the final boss. So like everyone would be racing basically. Think like Munchkin, the game Munchkin. I hadn't seen a lot of that game, but I was sort of familiar with it and I watched some actual plays of it and stuff. It seems like a really cool game. It left a little bit to be desired for me. I felt like there could be, again, like level progression. There could be gear progression. There could be things that over, the span of say 20 turns that you go from a new adventurer to an expert level adventurer. You've leveled up, you've gotten all this gear, and now you're racing with other people who are really, really strong and stuff, and they're fighting, they're drawing an event card. It's a combat card, and they're killing their enemies really quickly and stuff. So it's this jockeying for position. And then when one person on their turn decides they're going to go try to fight Croc-Maw, I'm calling him the final dragon that you'll fight, that once they decide they're going to, maybe there's a mechanic where on your turn, then you can go. And then when the next round starts, everyone that chose to go that turn all shows up at the same time. So now maybe you weren't ready. Maybe that other person was more prepared, but you feel like they're probably going to be able to succeed. And so yeah, maybe you're also not going to be able to win, but you can go and try to interfere with their ability to win, knowing that you're kind of sacrificing the penalty of losing to the final boss, but you're also maybe going to drag that person down back with you. And so it will sort of prolong the game, but then that may leave the third person, the third player, able to capitalize on that. And the person who was the least powerful is now maybe in the lead. Things like that. I'm obviously it's going to take a while. I'm going to have to work through a lot of those maybe little growing pains and things like that of trying to balance everything. I think that's naturally just going to be the hardest part, is balancing everything and making sure that maybe there's some catch up mechanics. If I start play testing and it's happening 50% of the time, one person out of a 4-person group is just blowing away the field because they drew one good card out of their gear deck, I'll have to play around. I just don't know that right now. I haven't play tested anything. I'll end up showing you guys. Actually, I'll show you. Show you a. This is my handiwork. This is when I say I can't draw. There you go. I'm just jotting things down so that I can sort of visualize. It's kind of what I want. I have a few of them on index cards. That way I can sort of compare them and sort of do some play testing and whatever on my own, just initially with some dice rolls and things like that. I'll have to flesh out the systems, and then maybe I'll do a little more professional looking one. That way I can throw them in some card sleeves and actually find someone to play with, or upload it to like Tabletop Simulator and see if I can just mess around with it, get some of my buddies on there and just play around with rolling the dice, seeing how a game goes, maybe play for 30 minutes and see how far that gets us, if it's getting boring, if that's when it's getting good. Yeah, and just kind of work on that progression and things like that. The systems are not fleshed out at all right now. I don't have a name for the game. If you have any suggestions for the name, please leave it in the comments below. Hopefully you know enough about the game by the end of this video that you'll be able to help me out with the name. And feel free to throw any suggestions in the comments. Like I said, I've never done this before. I don't have any experience with anything sort of like this, other than, like I said, the homebrewing and, things like that. So if anyone has any more experience than me in this, please leave any comments, any, whatever, any way that, and if you want to get in contact and kind of explain some stuff to me and stuff like that, I'm very open to suggestions. I'm doing this all by myself. I'm not, there's no one along for the ride with me really. So I'm just kind of spare time rattling off ideas, iterating on those ideas, and sort of kind of taking it step by step. So if anyone has any suggestions or anything that they are willing to offer, any things that have worked in other games that you've played. I don't play a ton of board games. So like, other than just like the classic type, I've played Risk, I've played Settlers of Catan, I've played D&D, I've played some tabletop stuff, and then whatever, Monopoly and Life and whatever. So yeah, if anyone has suggestions of like combat systems that have worked, I don't know, other things like that, systems in games that you think would be interesting to add into like an RPG style game, I think there's room for depth, and I don't want to bog the game down. Originally, I was maybe thinking like a survival system with, eating food and things like that. I think maybe that would just feel pointless unless I can find a way to make it fun. But generally, that's, if you just want to jump into a game and dive into gear progression, kill monsters, race with your buddies to beat this boss, and kind of mess with each other along the way, and things like that, I don't know that a survival system is going to be beneficial to the game. So I sort of pretty quickly just kind of cut that out. But yeah, if you have any suggestions of something you think that would be cool in a game like this, please leave them in the comments. But yeah, so like I said, my every day now that I initially thought about this idea, I've been thinking about this idea. So I'm going to sort of, my idea for the videos at least was maybe just keep you guys informed on the game through the videos, and sort of just every time, every so often kind of update. This is what I've done. This is what I've done. I think this would be cool too, just for people who are thinking of doing this and maybe can follow along with. I'm sure the way I'm doing it is not the only way to do it. I'm sure I might not even end up publishing the game. I might, this might not go anywhere. It might just be something that, lives on my bookshelf behind me. But, I think it will be cool, at least for people to watch, see what I did right, see what I did wrong, what they like, what they don't like. That way, if you've never done this before and you're just like, hey, it looks like some idiot on the internet got in over his head, let me follow along, and then I'll, learn lessons from, I'm none, if you've never done it before, then you've never done it before. Like, it's your first time. So if that sounds like you, then watch me fumble through trying to do something like this. Like I said, I I haven't gotten too far in the process. As you saw, my cards are hand drawn with pencil, and I'm really trying to focus just on like the systems right now, how I want them to be, put like a prototype together, and then still have like, whether it's digitally or printing them out and playing, still having it the stats empty so that I can edit them like with pencil or whatever. And then that way I don't have to like then reprint everything out and stuff like that. I can sort of play, see how it feels, change stuff up. I've messed around with the idea of like, so each turn you can adventure or go to the shop or go to the healer or whatever, spend gold to get healed from any like injuries or ailments that, like, say, bleed or poison, something that an enemy inflicts on you, or go to the priest if there's enemies that can curse you and that gives you negative effects, something like that, or go to the inn and restore your health. Obviously all that stuff will cost gold or whatever. And then there's choosing to adventure on your turn would be to draw an event card. And so if the adventure cards are something that involves more than one player or just yourself, there's a lot of variables in there. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I don't want the video to run too long. I really just wanted to introduce myself. I just wanted to kind of give everyone a basic idea of what the game was. And then in future videos, maybe I'll dive into that stuff, little things here and there. If someone comments in the video and wants me to break down a certain thing or has ideas for this, and then I can read those comments and iterate on a certain part and then convey that stuff to you guys that I'm thinking. So yeah, if this video reached you, like, subscribe, comment, do all that cool stuff that lets me know that this got to you and you thought it was cool. Yeah. So any suggestions for the name of the game for me, just throw that down below, and I will definitely get back to you on it. So until next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support.